Have you ever just found yourself completely mesmerized by something tiny? Like a perfect little replica of a chair or a doll-sized loaf of bread? There's this undeniable magic to these little worlds. So today, we're going to dive in and explore why we have this deep, almost instinctual fascination with all things small. This quote just nails that feeling, doesn't it? The second you see something miniature, it's like the big, noisy, complicated world just fades away. You get this immediate hit of wonder and calm. You lean in, you focus, and suddenly you're pulled into a totally different scale of reality. And that really brings us to the big question here. What is it about these shrunken down realities that gets to us so deeply? Well, let's unpack it. We're going to dig into the psychology, the history, and the meaning we find when we choose to go small. Okay, so the first and maybe the biggest reason is something I think we all crave, especially when life feels, well, chaotic. It's a sense of control. Miniatures give us a universe we can literally hold in the palm of our hands. Psychologically, there's a name for this. It's called symbolic mastery. It's our way of creating a version of reality that's manageable, that we can understand. In a miniature world, we get to arrange the furniture, sweep the tiny floor, and make sure everything is exactly right. It's this gentle, quiet form of control. And this quote from a hobbyist on Reddit, it just gets right to the heart of it. When your real life space feels totally out of your hands, maybe you're renting or life is just plain messy, creating a perfect, cozy little world somewhere else is this huge emotional release. And here's another super practical take from that same community. We all have this desire to create and control our environment, but let's be real. A full-on home renovation is expensive and super intimidating. A dollhouse, though, that's your personal sandbox. You can play around, perfect your vision, and there are absolutely no real-world consequences. So really, that's what these small worlds are. They're a sanctuary. They're a retreat from all the noise and unpredictability we deal with every day. In the miniature world, we are the architects of peace and order, and that gives us a sense of agency that can be incredibly, incredibly soothing. Now, this whole desire for control, it's connected to another powerful drive. It doesn't just show up in creating tiny scenes. It also fuels our need to collect things, to bring order to a set of objects, especially when times feel unsettled. Just look at this number, 130%. During the early days of the pandemic, a time when everything felt completely out of control for pretty much everyone, sales of basketball cards on eBay skyrocketed by that much. That wasn't just a random blip. It was a clear sign that people were looking for order through collecting. And researchers have actually mapped out how this works. It starts with unsettled times. That triggers a heightened need for control. That desire, in turn, fuels the drive to find or create structure in our lives. And what's one of the most accessible ways to do that? You guessed it. You start a collection. So, what do we really mean by structure here? It's not just about having a pile of stuff. A collection is a complete system, a whole entity, where every single piece is connected. Each new item you find, it doesn't just add to the pile, it brings the entire structure one step closer to being perfect, to being finished. And this impulse to collect and curate tiny, meaningful objects, this is nothing new. In fact, it's a deeply human thing that's been evolving for centuries. From the private cabinets of the super wealthy, all the way to the public museums we all know and love today. It all started back in the Renaissance with the Wunderkammer, or cabinets of curiosities, which were literally meant to be microcosms of the entire world. Then, during the Enlightenment, collecting got a scientific edge. The Victorians, they treasured tiny, sentimental things like lockets, and today we have entire museums dedicated to the art of the miniature. And the sheer variety of what we consider a small thing is just incredible. An ancient coin tells the story of an empire's economy. A locket can whisper a tale of love and loss. A preserved insect reveals the incredible complexity of evolution. Every single tiny object is a vessel for a huge story. This idea, it just perfectly sums up the power of miniatures. Big artifacts can be imposing. They kind of shout their history at you. But small things, they draw you in. They ask for your quiet attention, and in return, they share these intimate personal truths. So we've seen the psychology and the history behind this, but let's bring it all together. What's the ultimate value in our fascination with the small? Why does paying attention to the little things matter so much in our big, loud world? Think about this contrast right here. The big world, it shouts, it's full of chaos and demands, and it's just plain overwhelming sometimes. But the small world, it whispers. It's all about order. It invites you in, and it soothes you. It's the complete opposite. So what this all tells us is that our love for tiny things is so much more than a hobby. It's a really meaningful response to modern life. It gives us what's called cognitive relief, a break from complexity. It fosters empathy by connecting us to individual lives and their stories. It teaches us patience and observation. And honestly, in a world of fast fashion and disposable everything, cherishing a tiny, handcrafted object is a quiet act of rebellion. We're constantly told that bigger is better, right? Go big or go home. But maybe the real magic, the real meaning, and the real sense of peace, maybe they're found when we have the courage to just ignore all that noise, lean in close, and appreciate the profound beauty of the small. So, what could you discover by choosing to look a little closer?